Hi there, thanks for tuning into Album ReBrews. Please note, we do drink while recording this podcast, and if you choose to drink along at home, we encourage you to do so responsibly. Enjoy the episode. Cheers.
Hey everybody, welcome to Album ReBrews. It's the stickiest music podcast on this little corner of the internet. I gotta tell you, today I'm feeling pretty good, and I think part of the reason I'm feeling so good is that the happiness has come inside me once
Jesus
again.
Not once again. Howdy, y'all.
Did I introduce myself? I'm Logan. I'm one of the hosts on this show here.
Hey there. My body is made of crushed little pieces of broken glass in an alley. My name is Sarah.
I'm your little Zach baby who also may or may not do crack.
That's good.
That's really good.
I'm Zach.
If you couldn't tell, this is a music commentary podcast.
Wait, I kind of want to talk about watches real fast.
Yeah, what's up
Watches?
with watches?
Do you guys have a smartwatch?
No.
No, I'm poor.
Do you guys know someone with a smartwatch?
Yes.
Yes.
We all know the same
So
person with a smartwatch.
Apparently, 3% of our listeners listen to our podcast on a smartwatch.
That's bananas, and I give mad props to you guys because wait, do you guys have phones? I'm a little
No,
concerned.
they only have watches, I'm sure.
They have a
then-
Sony Ericsson and brand new Apple Watch.
And then that got me thinking about like how interesting and strange a hobby such as podcasting is. Like, Logan, pretend to be someone from the 1800s and ask me
okay.
about my hobbies.
Well, cheerio, chap. You headed down to the donkey races.
No, I'm gonna do a podcast.
Well, that's not a yes and. That's a no but. I mean, I guess it works the same way, right? What is a podcast,
what's all
my good
this
man?
then?
Oi, governor, I've never heard of these podcasts before.
I have a conversation and then people listen to it after the conversation happened.
That sounds like witchcraft. Oi, tie this guy up and hang him and burn him.
Yeah, and
No.
3% of them, I know that 3% of them listen to me from their watch.
What? You mean a pocket watch?
Yeah, exactly. They listen
Oi,
to my
governor.
conversation from a pocket watch.
What dark magic is this?
You sound like a quest giver. Can you give me a quest for my podcast?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I've been thinking a lot because I feel like the natural progression of podcaster is you do your podcast for a while and then you start playing Dungeons and Dragons and then you start a Dungeons and Dragons podcast. And
which is what we're gonna do, obviously.
Yeah, we're on that course.
So what I was thinking about over the past week or so as my podcasting and D&D worlds have collided is that this being the beginning of the second season of Album ReBrews, if we could say, we've done 10 episodes. I feel like that's a season's worth. So
A decade, rather.
Because we've been podcasting for an entire decade, I thought it would be a good time to level up our podcast per se.
Oh.
And I was just showing Sarah and Zach my brand new dice that arrived in the mail. And what I was thinking we could do for season 2 of our podcast is we could level it up and perhaps roll maybe some hit points. Our podcast might need some more hit points.
So we're gonna like
yeah,
take our
kinda-
little Mario level up mushroom and just.
Well, that would just make it
does our
bigger.
podcast get a feature?
Someday we'll get a feature. I just have to call Noah
a feat.
and say, "Hey, will you come be on?" We'll do that. We'll do that next week, or maybe we'll do it in the middle or something. Well, this is a logistics talk that we can figure out when we're not in the middle of the podcast.
All right, so let me ask you this question:
What's up?
What stats could we potentially level up on our podcast?
Well, charisma.
I think
of course.
charisma's already 20.
You think so?
I agree.
All right. Our wisdom it needs some work for sure.
Our wisdom's at like 4.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say our strength and dex, like those are both -2 right now.
Yeah, dexterity's not great. Strength
We
is
are
also
very
not
weak.
great.
Yeah.
our constitution, I would say, actually is pretty good.
Yeah, because our liver
that.
is constantly under parade. Like, we can constitute anything.
And I have not needed an emergency hospital visit yet, so...
Yeah.
I'd say we're doing pretty good. Yeah, so we have some things that could use some work. But what we're really here to do is talk about music and the drinks that we pair with our favorite music. And Sarah, you did pick the music for this week. And you had a nice little idea. Well, I'm not going to give you too much credit. Somebody else had the idea for the drink pairing.
Yeah, wow, Log, what a wonderful segue. Thank you so much. So, if you couldn't tell by our introductions, this week we are talking about Mitski's Puberty 2, which was released back in 2016, which is crazy. And I was really, really trying to think of a drink pairing because there wasn't anything like explicitly listed in the lyrics, anything that I knew to be associated with Mitski. So I was talking to my partner about it, and he thought, well, you know, I think a lot of people would probably like cry in the shower to Mitski, right? And I was like, yeah, that's a fair assessment. He was like, what about shower wine? And I was like, how we can't record in the shower. How are we going to make that a thing on our podcast? Well, we are recording remote. So the idea we came up with was I'll pull up my little instructions. Here are the instructions we came up with for shower wine. Step number 1 is to pour a glass of red wine for melodrama as if you've had a really hard day. Step 2 is to take your wine into the running shower and quickly get a little bit of shower water in it. And step 3 is to channel the energy of crying in the shower with wine and Mitski, which is cheaper than therapy.
There you go.
It's cheaper in therapy.
I think we're all drinking different little kinds of wine. I think we should explore that. I'm sipping on a Sangiovese, which means not much to me, but it's by the brand Moncaro, and I am not a red wine drinker, but I like it.
Zach, what are you slurping on over there?
Instructions were unclear. I showered in the wine and then drank my own tears. So we're going to have to roll back because I'm out of wine. It's all over my body.
Uh-oh.
And just incredibly dehydrated from your salty tears.
My salty tears. It tastes like over salty Pringles.
Oh.
No,
What about
I'm
you?
drinking a very dry red wine. It is a excuse me. It's a 2018. I told Emily to get fancy wine when she went and picked this up for me, so we bought a $12 bottle of wine, which is about as fancy as they get. There's a dog barking right now. I'm just gonna, and we're gonna pick it up as soon as he's done barking. I told Emily to put them upstairs.
Yeah, to part the curtain a little bit, regularly we record in person, but due to all the kooky COVID circumstances, I don't want to downplay it. Kooky is a pretty tame word. Things are pretty bad at the moment. And generally we record in person, but we've been taking a step backwards, partially because I've gotten really stinky as a human being, and I know that that's difficult on you guys. But also in the general interest of safety, I think we've been transitioning over to this remote recording setup. Sarah, do you want to start us off with the first track on this album?
Oh wait, can I tell you what I'm drinking real fast?
Oh sure,
Oh, for sure.
This is a Shanty by Da Vinci.
Da Vinci.
I know you didn't pronounce it chanty.
A chanty by Da Vinci.
I call it Da Vinci.
That's a TikTok joke.
Is it?
Yeah.
Look at me. I'm relevant.
Good job. Good job.
Wait, Log, what are you drinking?
So I've had this a couple times. It's a Chateau Souverain. Sure, we'll go with that. It's a Merlot. I've had it before.
Nice. Can we put a fork in it right there? I'm gonna go put the dogs away because Emily's not doing it for me. I ran all the way up the stairs and now I'm really out of breath.
Oh, jeepers.
You gotta take 300 drinks of wine.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, Zach, while you catch your breath, let me introduce the album. How about that?
Yeah.
Cool. So this album, Puberty 2 by Mitski, is chock full of references and euphemisms regarding mental illness, which makes it perfect for the three of us. There's kind of a lot of parallels that we're going to talk about between mental illness and like a bad lover. So it's a really fun listen, especially when you've had bad experiences with boys and have a Lexapro prescription. I wanted to ask, what are your first takes on the album?
I immediately thought that something was broken when I started listening to this album.
Because the saxophone, yeah.
Well, because the way Happy starts out, it's just like that kick drum sample playing like 8th notes or 16th notes or whatever. And I was convinced that something was a little hinky in my audio chain. Turns out, no, that's just the way the album sounds. And I really appreciate how like this album doesn't conform to any like traditionalist norms. Like Zach, you were talking last week about how the way that the bass player in Crumb like locks into that groove, but he's also doing things that you can't necessarily do digitally.
Yeah.
I feel like this album is very like counter to that, because there are a lot of things on this album, like especially in Happy, there's like some saxophone sampling that you cannot physically do, but you can do sample wise. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I would agree with you. To describe it shortly, sad and horny, but to describe it more in depth, there's a lot of really cool artistic stuff done in the digital audio workspace, like the sampling of the saxophone and the neat stuff. But there's also like a lot of really raw acoustic guitar that we'll sample later. But yeah, I love her. I love the guitar playing on this, and I love her vocals and the lyrics.
Yeah, it's really sick. Well, let's get right into it then. We've already talked a little bit about Happy, and Log, I think bringing up the weird, like, synthy throbbing that the album starts with, like, it's a little off-putting, and I think the album opener is so important as far as A, enticing the listener, and B, like, establishing the vibe. Mm-hmm. So to start it off on such a weird note is bold, but I think it ends up paying off.
Yeah, and this album doesn't really play around with, or it's not very shy, you know?
No.
It's not coy. Like, immediately, this song is talking about, like, somebody coming inside of you, for lack of, like, better phrasing.
Yeah.
And I kind of appreciate how bold that is. Like, sonically, this album is very bold, but I feel like lyrically, it's also very bold. And I mean, I don't want to speak for women, because as a straight white dude, we've spoken plenty. But I mean, I feel like this album has a lot to say that other albums are maybe a little like too shy to do, if that makes sense. Sarah, you are a woman. You can probably speak to that thread better.
Absolutely am. I am. And to the point of it not being shy, like, it's crazy, but it's Mitski's 4th like full length release. And she already had a bunch of success with the album prior, Bury Me at Makeout Creek. And there are also a couple classics off of her 2013 release, which is her second release, Retired from Sad, New Career in Business. So I think she's like really, really hitting her stride in this album and really capturing that like diary entry sentiment with her lyricism. And yeah, like you said, like writing about cum, it comes up one more time on the album. Writing about cum is not a
I
cheap
counted
card
how many
to play.
times she sings about it 3 separate times.
On this song or across the album?
In the album.
And like, how many times do we get like a Japanese American, like female indie artist singing about cum?
Yeah.
Not that often, folks.
Like, thank God.
Not enough, yeah.
I feel like that's in other genres, like there's a lot of real male centric music that has no problem talking about sexual prowess. And I don't know, maybe it's we don't have to get like super into the ways that like our society dictates how people should present themselves, but I feel like there are a lot of women musicians who and again, I don't want to speak for women because I'm obviously not one, but I feel like it's more taboo as a woman to like write these kinds of things.
Yeah, I agree with you, Logan. And like, this 2020 marks the release of Wet Ass Pussy by Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. And I think that's like a prime example of like that double standard of like, why can maybe some man talk about XYZ, but a female artist or anyone else can't talk about the same things.
Right.
So, and especially in this genre, especially in like sort of Mitski's music space, it's really exciting to see.
Yeah.
I would argue she's doing it like very tastefully. Like, I don't know if this is true or not. I've heard about it. Like if you're doing like really fancy ballet, like sometimes like they'll have like very risque, like have their nipples out and stuff, but it's tasteful because it's so fancy. That's how I feel like she's going about it with like.
So
Mitski about coming inside of her,
like,
but
Mitski is like ballet
tasteful.
with your nipples out.
It's like it's not like grotesque. She's like, that's a thing that happens to women, unfortunately, is they get one night standed like that.
Yeah, and it ends up being so like beautiful. Okay. So let's move on to Dan the Dancer. And we were just talking about instrumentation, and we mentioned this in our previous episode talking about Crumb and the way that the bass was sort of mirroring the vocals. And I noticed that, Zach, you're going to be so proud of me. I noticed that at the end of this song, there's like, it kind of does the same thing where the like melody of the bass is mirroring Mitski's vocals, but it does it in this really like echoey, almost like ghastly way. And I thought that would be cool to share. What did you guys think listening to that just now?
It reminded me that I really, really like the lyrics in this song and sort of the character that they create for this Dan guy. Because I think it's like a very intimate portrayal of somebody who has this secret passion that he only dances in his bedroom and he doesn't show anybody. And the level of intimacy you get to when you allow people to like see the things that you do in private, I think is really powerful and kind of cool. Yeah,
I think that's valid. I definitely think that's like comes across. And it seems like in the song, the character Dan, like it sort of sets up where he is hanging off of this cliff, and the only person that he is going to like let go of this cliff and maybe like fall to his death for is someone that he wants to hold hands with. And so it's really like being vulnerable and just trusting that person, which is very sweet.
I thought this was a sexual innuendo. Is there sexual innuendos in this song?
I don't know.
Is it really just that sweet? Like he's just dancing, he's not banging?
Maybe he is banging.
I kind of thought he was banging.
I think it's pretty like up for interpretation.
Yeah. I mean, that's the cool thing about art, right?
I mean, what is the difference between having sex with someone for the first time and showing someone how you like dance in private in your room?
Well, one has a lot more disappointment than the other.
Zach, knowing you, I think it would be a toss-up between which is which.
Both equally.
Well, to sort of wrap up this song, apparently, according to Mitski, I just pulled this like from an interview that she did, but it was just entirely like just an idea that she ran with. She said that Dan is a metaphor. I just thought about someone living their life hanging off of a cliff, and that is a metaphor. This is getting very like, you know, that painting of like the pipe, and it says, "This is not a pipe." Yeah, it's kind of like that. And so then she continues to say, then I thought, what if that person wanted to fall in love and then they wanted to hold hands? What would they do when they were hanging off a cliff? And so it's just kind of this whole like hypothetical situation. And this album's funny because I feel like it bounces between being entirely metaphorical and being like extremely real.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's a takeaway I didn't realize until you just said it. There's so much stuff that's like, he literally came inside me, and there's other stuff that's like, this is a metaphor in the sky.
He literally... do you guys have any more thoughts, or do you want to move on to the cry
Sarah,
in the shower with wine song?
Well, so I'm interested in this one because I can see the screenshot that you included in your notes here. And
yes.
I would like you to expand on it a little bit.
Absolutely. So I, when preparing for this podcast, like to go on the website genius.com, which has like lyrics with crowdsourced annotations. And the only, or not the only, but the top comment for song number 3, Once More to See You, says... might be the most horny, and the O in horny is censored, might be the most horny Mitski song, but don't hold me to that. And you know what? They weren't wrong.
More horny than Dan the Dancer?
I think so, because I think this song embodies longing, and I think longing is a very powerful emotion when you're thinking about a person.
I didn't anticipate this this conversation being as... I mean, I guess this is a pretty horny conversation.
This is the other song where there's 2 more, so come inside me.
Yes.
I don't have a whole lot to add on to that. I feel like the difference between this and talking about cockaholics for 10 minutes is that one was a joke, but this one is serious.
Well, then let me set this one up for the girls, the gays, and the theys. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably already listened to Mitski. But the song Once More to See You is like this gorgeous song about longing and someone like being reluctant to love you, even though you're so confident in your love and like for them. But you both have these reputations. There's these societal ramifications of your love. And this could maybe be playing on, I can't speak to this directly, but this could be playing on Mitski's like Japanese American heritage, like dating someone as a biracial person who might be white, and like, what would their family think? What would society think? But I love them and I want to be with them. It's just longing, and I think it's good for the soul in healthy doses.
Yeah, well, and I think the other sort of takeaway from this album is a lot of it feels like, I mean, I guess the album title gives it away. It's called Puberty too. But a lot of this feels like very young love and sort of unrequited love, but also sort of the initial feelings of love, like infatuation and I can't be with this person and now I don't know what to do with myself. I think those are very like emotions that you have when you haven't necessarily been in other relationships, or especially been in like long-term relationships, because I think the type of love you feel when you've been with someone for a very long time is completely different than the type of love, quote, air quotes around the type of love you feel when you've been with someone for a short time. You know what I mean? I mean, we're all in long-term relationships, and I think we can all sort of quantify or qualify the feelings we have with our partners, like when we first met them versus the feelings we have for them now. You know what I mean? It's totally a different type of emotion.
Absolutely. And I think to piggyback off of that, God, we're in like a Socratic circle right now. To piggyback off of that, I think something that comes up a lot in this album is like disappointment, feeling disappointment towards your prospective lover, towards your life situation. And I think to compare quantifying love to quantifying disappointment, either in the early stages of love or the later stages of love, I think you're a lot more prone to like taking things personally when you've just met a person and have just started to form your attraction or your love towards them, versus like, oh, I know them. Like that's just the way this is, and he's had a hard day, and I'm just gonna, be sweet about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very good album for like all those discussions.
Yeah, it
very
is,
well
isn't it?
of like kind of hitting those very human kind of deep spots. Hit you right here in the heart.
The three of us have not really talked about love in this way. I'm excited that this has been brought to the table over some wine. I feel very bonded with the three of you right now.
Well, and I mean, I think just like growing up, you start to realize like the difference between like young like puppy love and like a more longer lasting. Man, I sound like my parents.
Oh no.
Oh no.
But yeah, I mean, there are things that like when you're infatuated with somebody, you'll either overlook or not look at, and then when you've been with somebody a while, I think those things kind of flip or reverse. Like, I don't know. Speaking from personal experience, like I think like appearance becomes less of an issue the longer you are with someone. Obviously, like it's a factor when you're first with somebody. You want to be with somebody you're attracted to, but the longer you're with someone, the more you realize that like I'm with this person because I enjoy who they are and not like what they are. If that makes sense.
I totally agree with you. Like if my partner was wearing like a I don't know, like a Peter Pan costume and was still sweet to me in the same ways that he usually is and still like made me dinner the same way, I couldn't love him any less.
Yeah.
And I think I'd love him more if he was in a Peter Pan costume.
You know what? Maybe I would too.
Yeah. You guys have any other thoughts and opinions about this song in particular?
Nope, but I'm ready for the next one real good.
Oh, I'm so excited to move on to the next song.
Can we? I want to talk about the guitar. Should we play like the first 20 seconds?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, can I come in yet? Can I do it?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, no, there's like a little bit of percussion throughout the tune. There's a little bit more towards the end, but like that, the strum is just like drives the whole song.
And doesn't it make you feel something?
Yeah.
Like this, we talked about sort of like feeling like the main character when we were talking about Haley Blay a couple episodes ago. And this song like scratches the same itch for me. Like I want to be on a rooftop listening to this. I want to be twirling around like wearing a cape because it's a song about like repressed emotions bubbling to the surface. And I think that's super, super, super relatable. And it's just done in such like an exciting way.
We about to go into the big banner?
This
Big
song,
Bang, the big banger.
song number 5, is
Steve
the
Banger, the guy
big
from,
banger. This song had a song exploder episode about it.
Yeah. Which I didn't listen to because I don't listen to any other podcasts except ours.
That I probably know the song because of Song Exploder.
Probably.
Because going into this was the Mitski song that I knew.
Your Best American Girl.
Yeah, Sarah, why don't you fill us in a little bit? Because as a boy who has not gone through puberty yet, I'm not quite sure what this one's all about.
Sure. So as a girl who has gone through puberty, this is song number 5 on the album, Your Best American Girl. And there are probably like an infinite number of parallels you could draw, but the sort of like fundamental of the song is, I love someone and I want to be with someone, but I am so deeply different than they are. And for that reason, I can try and try and try to fit the mold that they want me to fit, but the odds don't seem to be in my favor. So, okay, let's reel it back in. I want to ask you two, did you watch the music video that goes along with this song?
Yeah, and I was kind of bored until the end.
Because, like, there's this rumor going around that Mitski has a hand fetish.
Oh.
And for context, in the music video for Your Best American Girl, let me set the scene. You have Mitski. She's sitting on a little chair in a cute little red suit, and there's like a classic American bro, and they seem to be hitting it off, but then this classic American babe comes in and starts making out with him. And so Mitski, in turn, to cope, I guess, makes out with her hand.
Interesting. I'm aware that there are like hand models and that hand fetishism is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really all I have to add to that, because when I look at my hands, I think, geez Louise, bud, you gotta clip your nails.
It almost felt... Okay, here's my takeaway from both the music video and the song. Was, I think in both cases... the expression, be it like making out with your own hand, which like people have done to practice kissing. So the expression
Actually,
is either...
Sarah,
go for it.
I'm really sorry to cut you off.
You're good.
But do you remember in middle school when people would like make their hands look, here's the church, here's the steeple or whatever, and then they do like the pee-pee?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there was also a way to do like a vagine.
Uh-huh. Oh, you remember.
Maybe that's what Mitski is into.
Okay, maybe. So, going back to my point.
Let's get her on the show. Let's find out.
I think in both cases, like, coping mechanisms are employed to dissipate the desire for this unattainable person. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that makes sense. But I feel, I think that's kind of a central theme to this album is like, how does puberty work? How do I develop like these coping mechanisms to deal with like love and love that doesn't work out? But yeah,
like, I mean, puberty 2 is just your mid-20s.
Honestly, Zach, I was thinking about a way to weave this in because, yeah, you do go through first puberty when you're like in your teens. And then there is certainly like a second puberty after you have like become sexually aware that is like okay, I know how my body works. And now I'm going through second puberty. And that's a real thing. And I think we're all like currently in the throes of second puberty.
Yeah, you kind of realize like, oh shit, I can't cope the same way I did when I was 16. How do I do this as like an adult who has a credit score?
Yeah, like our bodies are done growing now. Like my brain has advanced as much that it's gonna. Mm-hmm. It's just all downhill from here, boys. So this song is kind of like a cool little sandwich. The intro is kind of the same guitar bit as the outro. And the first time the chorus happens, it's just chords. But the second time the chorus happens, they do, I don't know what the actual word for it is, but they do like really cool like stop and staccato notes for it. And it just really makes it drive home.
Sorry, my brain is still caught up on the horny talk. What are we're talking about? Best American Girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe we can play like 15 seconds of the first chorus at 122.
Yeah.
And then 15 seconds of the second chorus at 223, just to kind of
Sure.
compare and contrast the two choruses. Yeah, doesn't it just slap so good? Like that ba ba ba.
Dude, yeah, that feels so pop punk. I mean,
There's
feel
a
like
lot of punk and pop punk. Yeah.
we're a
I
very
fucking
like
love it.
punk leaning podcast, but yeah, those staccato stops hit me right in the, I don't know, the brain.
It feels so like cathartic.
Yeah.
To just bump. It makes you
That's
want to
good
punch.
stuff.
I also wanted to talk about how weird she enunciates the chorus.
Zach, before we do the thing, I'm gonna throw on one of our famous toilet flushes because I gotta pee.
Alrighty, we took a quick pee break and we are back to talk about song number 6 called I Bet on Losing Dogs.
And we're going to
feel
talk
like-
about come more.
We are going to talk about Come More. I feel like this song, I mean, it just kind of continues the themes that we were talking about earlier, like looking for relationships that aren't quite right, feeling disappointed by people, self-sabotage, come.
Well, can I read you the line? I wanted to ask your interpretation. Because, like, in my notes, I wrote down the line, and then in big capital letters, I said, what?
Go for it.
The line is, how'd you be over me looking in my eyes when I come? Someone to watch me die. I bet I'm losing dogs. What?
Yeah, so I didn't really, I mean, okay, all right, okay, let's go there. How'd you be over me looking in my eyes when I come? When I heard of that, my brain pictured the narrator and the losing dog, quote unquote, that she's in this situation with, having sex.
Oh, losing dogs are people. This isn't a song about dogs? Okay, good.
No, I think the losing dogs are like deadbeat dudes. And she is having sex with someone who is a good-for-nothing rapscallion.
So she says someone to watch me die. So when she's like, at that moment, she's like, you know what? This is Nirvana. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Let's go to song number 7, which is My Body's Made of Crushed Little Stars. And I'm excited to talk about this one because it's the fucking chaos crisis song. It's like the anomaly on the album. And it's so fast and it's so fuzzy.
We
and
are
it's so
just
like,
little stardust. She's totally right.
yeah. And I feel like this song, if we're talking about puberty too, the second puberty in like your 20s, let's say your early to mid 20s, I feel like My Body's Made of Crushed Little Stars would be like the soundtrack for that, where you're having this crisis. You're like, I'm not doing enough. I want to do too much. How am I going to pay rent? I got to do this interview. I'm suicidal. Fuck. And this
How do you feel about the chorus? Did you look into that?
Only a little bit. And the stuff I seemed to draw from that was sort of like either A, just like wanting an out for all of the stress, or B, like kind of in the same vein, like being a martyr for
Yeah,
people
like
experiencing the same
Jesus.
things. Yeah, exactly.
Like
Exactly.
freaking nail me to the cross and let me die.
Yeah, just fucking end it, dude.
Like
And
really.
there was this really interesting thing I saw where, so the song ends, the last line is "go and kill me," but in some live performances, Mitski, in a very like exasperated tone, will just end the song with "please kill me," which,
Oh no.
as a mentally ill person in their early 20s, like, yeah, I'm fucking tired. We all are.
And I feel like the religious call here is kind of important because I feel like when you're sort of like in the throes of puberty, a lot of that religious pressure is also coming to a head. And I mean, I speak for myself. My dad is a pastor, and I think a lot of like my like puberty frustration and confusion coincided with a lot of like my religious frustration and confusion, and that whole like time period is just a big scary mess.
I feel the same way.
But yeah, I like the calls like kill me Jerusalem, like it is very obviously like a religious throw there.
Yeah,
Like she
totally.
wants to die in a way that like imbues her life with meaning.
Perhaps, yeah. But I also think like the religious reference resonated with me a little bit as someone who, in their like teen years, was constantly subjected to like religious themes.
Radicalism. No, I'm sorry.
And I think also this song simultaneously like the narrator, let's say, of this song is simultaneously viewing themselves as like not being enough and being like a silly little goose and being broke and being dumb and being confused, but also has this like grandiose kind of histrionic view of themselves where they're going to put themselves on the same plane as Jesus of Nazareth and call for murder by Jerusalem. Like it and I think that kind of goes along with your early 20s is simultaneously you are a dumb little baby and also nothing will kill you and you'll never die.
I wanna talk about the line, I better ace that interview, I better ace that interview. Should I tell them I'm not afraid to die? I better ace that interview. Like, oh. That's uncomfortably relatable.
I feel like currently, man, we're going to be looking back at 2020 in a completely different light in 10 years. But holy smokes, if you were to go into an interview today in November of 2020 and say, I'm not afraid to die, there are a lot of places that would hire you on the spot and throw you out. You know what I mean? Goodness gracious. I'm not sure how much
like, you're hired.
I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say, but like my partner has been dealing with a very frustrating situation at work involving whether or not like employees are allowed to die for a corporation.
Yeah.
And goodness gracious, there are so many people standing in line. Like,
yeah, real quick, this is a call to anyone listening. If you are working in service during this pandemic, or if you are deemed an essential worker, put that shit on your resume. Say COVID-19 essential worker, and that'll show that you have the damn gumption to get through most things.
From what I've heard about patrons of like literally any retail store right now, you deserve like a Purple Heart and to be honored as like a war hero, because the people coming into any retail location right now are the spawn of Satan and deserve to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I am looking at the Pro Tools timeline here and noticing that we are heading remarkably quickly towards the 100-minute mark. I was wondering if you guys wanted to start to wrap this album up?
Yeah, we have 3 songs that I think we can speed through, and then a ReBrewski.
Cool.
I just want to pee real quick, and then I'm ready to boom, 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 boom. All right, my sweet boys, I am a little inebriated on red wine. Let's wrap up this album with the final track, A Burning Hill, which I thought was sort of this like refreshing toe dip into, I don't know, like monotonous adulthood and like accepting that. Did you guys get that same vibe?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's like a tune about modern sadness, right?
Kinda, yeah. And it seems like a song about keeping up appearances despite this internal, to use the lyrics, like this internal forest fire where you are simultaneously the forest and the fire and the person watching it all go down. Like, and then to say like, oh my God, I'm dealing with all this shit. Today I'm going to wear this shirt so people perceive me this way. I think is so...
Which is also kind of like maybe more of a feminist point of view. I don't know, Logan, what do you think?
I mean,
not feminist, but like this is very like a female writing this. Like, I'll wear a button down.
Yeah.
I'm tired of wanting more.
Right. I mean, I don't want to speak for women as a man, but yeah, I mean, I feel like this song is kind of I'm looking at the Genius lyrics and seeing that this song is sort of like a Sarah, we were watching John Mulaney's Kid Gorgeous the other day, and there's a bit in that where he's talking about like you just brush your teeth, now here's the orange juice. And I kind of feel like this song is sort of the musical relative of that sentiment, where it's like you've just spent the entire album talking about how difficult the coming of age experience is, and then this song is sort of like completely opposite to that, because it's like, okay, I will resign myself to these experiences rather than like stress about the implications of like coming of age. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And it's kind of like, oh my God, my struggles are A, B, C, D, E. We've spent an entire album talking about this, and now, despite all of these things that I've chronicled, I have to like be a person in society and like put on a poker face, essentially.
Yeah.
And I mean, she says earlier, like, should I tell them I'm not afraid to die? I think with this song, it sort of suggests that that conversation doesn't even come up. You're just like going out into the world.
She ends the whole album is, I'll love the little things. I'll love some little things. She's just like, all right, like, let's just find some little things to make me happy. Even most of it makes me not happy. It may be a little horny, but mostly not.
Yeah. But I guess
did want to listen to 20 seconds of the intro and talk about like the acoustic guitar in this track, especially.
Sure, let's do that real quick.
It's really raw, and there's like a lot of like string sliding screeches, but there's also really nice dynamics. Like, she does a very good job of like playing soft and playing loud on certain notes. So maybe just tune into that while we play it.
Today I will wear my white button down. I'm tired of wanting more. I think I'm finally worn. For you have a way of promising things.
I don't know about you guys, but when I listen to this song, I've talked about my old job working at like an insurance agency before, but I feel like this song, it really, really takes me back to that point in my life where I was like really sad and really anxious. But you're like getting ready for work, and despite these things, you're gonna sit in an office with people all day. So the most important choice you make that morning, especially I think as a woman, is like, okay, what am I going to wear to appear like everything is fine?
Mm-hmm.
And I think this song hits perfectly on that.
I mean, I think that sentiment is pretty universal in the sense that, like, if you're trying to convince people that you're doing okay, you dress up a little bit. And there were plenty of times in college where I would, like, put on a little outfit despite the fact that, like, I was just hungover as shit. You know what I mean? To go to a class and be like, hey, look, I'm a human being and I'm participating, rather than like, oh my God, I'm like a husk of humanity and don't look at me. I haven't had water in like 17 days.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a beautiful album closer to kind of.
Yeah. It's short, it's sweet, and it's soft and nice. It just wraps you in a little blanket of Mitski.
Yeah. And it kind of I think it sends the listener along with their second puberty to face the world.
Yeah, to third puberty.
To third puberty.
Which is just when you die.
Oh no.
The third puberty is death.
I'm going through puberty for the last time, and this time I'm going to be horny in heaven. Or hell.
Goodness
Puberty,
gracious, my
Puberty
loves.
5 when pods collide.
Should we wrap this up?
I had a couple of ReBrewski ideas.
I also had a ReBrewski idea, but I'd love to hear if you guys have anything.
Zach, I'm going to turn this one over to you because I don't.
Mine was most likely to have runny mascara.
Okay.
That's pretty good. The one that I had was least likely to be played in the car on a first date.
That's pretty good.
Sarah, I feel like I have to contest you on this one because I feel like this one would be a hot, spicy choice for those newly not lonely singles who want to play something a little unique for their boo.
Have a little
Is it
trauma
before
bonding.
the date or after the date?
Or during.
I said
After the
first date. I said
maybe, like,
during.
that's all right. But like first meeting this person, you picked her up, you immediately play Puberty 2. That's kind of a bad vibe, right?
No, I don't think
Yeah.
so. See, I'm going to disagree with you guys and say that, like, horny high schoolers have similar tastes in music.
So
I guess if
then,
you're-
Zach, should we go with yours?
I had another one, a close second contender.
Oh, for sure.
I was going to say least likely to be played at a wedding reception.
Yeah, that one flies with me. I got to agree with that one.
Mitski.
Or maybe we could say like worst tracks on a wedding reception playlist or something. Spice it up a little.
Zach, I really like what you said, and I'm going to award this for Brewski right now.
Okay.
Mitski, at your leisure, you have been awarded the ReBrewski for least likely to be played at a wedding reception. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Big ol' thanks to Log for pitch shifting my voice 4 octaves down so I sound like a real human being on the podcast. Also doing all of our technical stuff. Big thanks to Sarah B for doing our social media. Follow us at ReBrews. It is only slightly more funny than I am in the show. Big thanks to me for voting Democrat this year. Log,
Log, do you have anything to
do a
plug?
good plug? Yeah.
Yeah, one of my very best friends from childhood and then pubertyhood and then adulthood just put out an album that I did a little bit of work on. You can find it on your streaming platform of choice. The artist is Ender. That's N, the letter N, .der. And the album is called N.der. Ender. Yep.
It's really good. Thank you so much for listening, you guys. If you enjoyed what you've heard over this last, I don't know, hour-long clusterfuck,
Sarah,
go
you
ahead
want to
and
hear
subscribe.
something crazy?
Oh, for sure.
We've been recording for almost 2 hours.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, it's going to get cut down. Thank you so much for listening. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, consider giving us a rating, subscribing, following us on the streaming platform of your choice. We have had a great time doing this podcast for you. Have a good rest of your day. We love you.
We'll see you
Mwah.
soon.
Bye.